Hello, welcome back to Miami Valorant on a Friday. We love to see it. I'm Trae Linkling Moss, and I'm here with
Spencer McCrae, Spencer Palpa McCrae.
yes, and we are here with the Queen City Clash Open Qualifier 1. It's a little different than the league we've been playing in, which is CVC. This time we're not streaming that in favor of a qualifier for a LAN at University of Cincinnati in a couple weeks. We're against Kennesaw State University, which is a school in Georgia. Not too sure why they would want to qualify for an event. Go all the way to Cincinnati, Ohio for an event, but hey, they're here. Maybe they're here for the prize money. But either way, it should be a good match tonight. This is part of the group stage. The first match is going to be the second seed in Group B, us, versus the third seed in Group B, Kennesaw State. So theoretically, it should be a pretty close match. It's going to be a best of 3 tonight. What are you expecting to see out of this team?
To be honest, I'm not exactly sure what I'm expecting to see. I've been watching a lot of Miami's VODs recently and seeing a few of those double initiator comps. I know specifically Miami favoring those sort of maps that benefit double initiator like Bind. And I'm kind of really excited because a lot of those games end up being really aggressive, really trying to contest space, like with aggressive utility pushes.
Yeah, of course. And it's going to be interesting to see how Miami's strategy might change because we just had one of the biggest Valorant patches in recent memory a couple of days ago. Usually at the end of a act or end of the Valorant year, let's per se, they make a pretty big patch about changes a handful of the strongest characters. But this time, it seems like they didn't change a handful of characters, and everyone else got changed. So there's been mixed opinions about the new changes and the new agent who completely shuts down utility. It's pretty crazy, but thankfully the new agent is available today, so the players can still get a little bit of time to get used to it. But all the things like all the flash cooldowns have been normalized to the same amount of time. Like initiators regenerating abilities are all 60 seconds. Things like breach and fade are smaller than before. and it's just a wide range of nerfs across the board. Some players think it went too far, but obviously we're still in the early stages here today, and this is the first competition our team will have played with the new patch notes. So we can see here today, if it's affected them at all, or if they kind of like how the new Valorant feels.
And bringing up what we were talking about a bit earlier, that double initiator comp, initiator is particularly going to be getting hit the hardest, with most of their signature abilities being reduced or increased to about 60 seconds after being cast. How do you think that's going to affect their approach to team composition?
Yeah, I don't know if that alone will affect its team composition too much. Especially because, like we said in the past, Miami likes to run double initiators. It might change who they pick necessarily because, maybe not having KO's knife as often might make him even less of a pick than we already pick him, which I don't know if we pick him at all, but that's just an example. But yeah, it's stuff like this, the wide ranging nerfs. I don't think it's gonna change like what roles we play so much as, maybe we just instead of playing, a fade on this map, we might play a breach instead. Just kind of that sort of thing. But we did just hear that the map we're going to is Abyss, which is one of the second newest map in the game, and something a map that Miami's definitely thrived on in the past. As we saw the last Valorant stream we had about 2 weeks ago, they were set to a 1-1 situation in CVC, and once they got to that their map pick of Abyss, they just completely rolled and obliterated the other team. So we'll see if Kennesaw State is prepared for Miami's prowess on Abyss, or maybe Kennesaw State's just even better and more practice on this map.
And I'm really excited for Abyss in particular, just because there's so many of those angles, really being able to use those initiator utility, those initiator tools to take those aggressive corners, take those aggressive angles, and just be able to hold them down with the cover that you get is going to be so important in this particular map. Um, Very excited to see how Miami is going to be adjusting to the new patch notes, as you said prior. Going to be interesting to see the new comps that arise from this. I in particular am excited for how Vito is going to shake up the meta. I know that he's not legal in today's match, but players are definitely going to be watching out for him, adjusting their comps in preparation for him.
Yeah, they're definitely preparing him because I expect by the time this line actually happens, if our team qualifies, he's going to be legal there. So they're going to have to prepare for that against maybe even they face off against Kennesaw State once again, and they're going to have to see how Vito might change things up here. And speaking of Abyss, this is one of the two maps that was given some changes in the last patch notes as well. It's relatively minor changes. Typically, map changes are just like removing a box, adding a box, making a sightline a little shorter. So not anything that's going to change the strategy too much, but it might change on where they might plant the bomb, where they might sit for post plant. Even little changes in like a tactical shooter can make a big difference. And the other map getting some changes is Pearl. But I'm not sure if we'll even see that map today. But we are on Abyss right now, and that's going to get some map changes, and we'll see if the players are going to be ready to face the sort of new challenges on Abyss. But I'm interested to see if we'll run a similar comp that we did last time. I think at the point in the series last time we played on Abyss, I think the IGL of Doom D just kind of wanted to really show his aim and try to get things done. So he did go a duelist character. I'm not sure which one it was. I think it was. Yeah, I know he likes to do when he just trying to lock in and get some kills. He likes to go for the Reyna here. We'll see if that goes like that anyway. But this is game one, so I feel like the teams are going to play pretty similar, pretty safe comps, maybe even something a little bit similar. Just trying to use their strategy to win rather than just brute forcing their way trying to get some kills.
And I do want to point out a particular role, smokes. I think the new map changes are going to make smoking off and just playing post plant a lot more difficult. We know Valorant's been kind of trending in a direction where they want to prevent those kind of post plant situations where you can't just sit in the entrance of a site and try and spray down the bomb every time it gets tapped. Rather, you have to be in dynamic angles, trying to find spaces where it's going to be I wouldn't say easy to hold the bomb. Of course, you want to make it as easy as possible for yourself, but really just being able to contest and retake space after somebody gives it up, trying to make it closer to the bomb.
Yeah, and I think one of the sites that was changed was I think it's B site on Abyss got changed where maybe that default play spot might be a little bit different. We're just gonna invite some new strategy from the controller, like you said, because especially when you're on attack and you're trying to hold down the point, the controller can be a really big role and sort of locking down that site now that you have it, and making sure that they can't retake the site here. But we are finally going into Abyss here. Miami is going to be starting on the defender side. It seems like the logos on top got a little bit switched around here. But a Doomty going to be locking in the Waylay, a duelist role like he did last time. I'm not sure if that was the same character as last time, but still, he's going to be our point man on trying to get those picks, trying to get those interactions through. And it seems like both teams have mostly locked in their rosters already.
And you're kind of seeing here, both teams have a very similar roster. I want to bring up the double initiator comp as we were talking about before. Breach really being able to contest those angles with his fault line and could be able to flash for, being it puts you in stun for quite a while. And then we're going to be able to hold down site easier with Astra's wells and Vice's walls. Really going to give you a lot of information even from across site. That's so important to playing on Abyss.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's pretty much the exact same comp except the duelists are switched out, probably just based on personal preference. I know, I'm pretty sure all of these characters that they're playing did get nerfed, but when everyone gets nerfed, it's kind of just like everything's like, it's okay, my character's a little bit worse, but it's not like anything's too bad. Like I know one of Astra's cooldowns got hurt pretty hard. I know a big thing about the Vice is that I don't think her flash gives you any info on where the enemy is anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I think it used to be similar to Sky's Flash, where it would give you a special sound cue if someone got flashed, but I don't think it does that anymore, which is going to be make it holding down sight just a little bit harder for that character, as we've seen Vice be kind of dominant on some certain maps in the past, at least for Miami, but it seems like we're getting ready to get started here. Miami is going to be going for a pretty split defense, as Kennesaw State seems ready to hit that A site and mid pretty aggressively.
And we're going to be seeing here on B site that Miami University is going to put 2 players, really going to be forcing a Doomty up on the very end, at the very attack side of B. Some aggressive util coming out from our Breach, but KSU not going to be there at all. Going to instead be trying to take on A site. Going to get 1 kill on site. Sova going to be low on HP, but really have so much control of where they are right now. Going to be, is that a fake plant? Yeah, that was a fake plant. Gonna be planting the bomb for real now.
Spike planted.
I don't know. What are you thinking? Miami University gonna have somebody on flank that I assume KSU does not know about yet.
Yeah, Doomty went on a pretty big flank there on Waylay. Miami just had to let Kennesaw State plant the bomb, get the site, but it still has a player advantage left. Rice is able to get one down, and just Lord Fry sitting in the back, gonna have to try to make sure that they that Miami doesn't defuse the spike. Seems to assume that Miami didn't fully defuse that spike, and yes, Pathos is going to take down Lord Fries. Miami with 2 players left. Pathos just letting the bomb go down a little bit there. I was getting a little bit nervous, but Miami catching out this pistol round with 2 players left standing. It's going to be pretty good for the economy, especially going to this next round. They're going to buy up a little bit. They're going to force Kennesaw State to maybe save some of their economy so that in the 3rd round they can have a little bit more of advantage in terms of guns here. So we can assume that this round might go towards Miami just based off look, we have 2 Guardians out, we have a Bulldog. Miami's definitely got some stronger firepower, but we'll see if that Kennesaw State can use those Sheriffs and that one Marshal to get those picks anyway and get onto the site, even though their guns might be a little bit more defensive. Seems like they're going to go for a mid and B push this time. Miami is definitely a little more practiced for those areas of the map, only having the Vice player on A.
We're going to see the same play as we did before. Breach going to throw out a flash, and Doomty going to dash into the top, or to the top of the B site, but going to get punished by KSU. Doomty going to get taken out deep in enemy territory, giving up a really important gun. As you were talking earlier, the economy advantage going to be so huge, and just losing a singular gun to the enemy team can be a make or break for the round.
Yeah, we see things start slowing down a little bit here. Kennesaw State mostly fully switched over to the B side. Rysick hurting that early Marshall fire, but Sith Lord thankfully is able to take down Lord Fries. That one Vice player is trying to lurk down mid site. Seems like Kennesaw State might lurk back towards mid, even though one of their players just died. We'll see if that ends up working out for them here. Sith Lord about to peek into Kennesaw State here. End up getting one even on low health, but Quacky instantly getting the two top onto the 2 Miami players top mid, and now things are back to even again, 2-2. Both teams on the opposite sides of the mid side of the map, but it seems like Miami's able to predict that Kennesaw State's going back to the A site, which they will. They're going to have to plant this quickly before Miami ends up catching up and getting here first.
And we're going to see that neither agent here has a ton of utility to use. Astro without any stars, and then Sova just using the recon dart. 2v2, double initiator versus, I want to just say, 2 characters without any utility, just to make it easy. But Sova and Breach going to be able to take space super easily. We're going to see KSU going to come in for the flank, trying to catch him off guard. Sova going to be able to get 1 kill. Just trying to defuse here really quickly. Shock Dart coming out, and Astra's going to finish the kill with that Bulldog.
That was really unfortunate play there. Miami, I would say, was taking a little bit too long on height to maybe get anything engaged there. We did see Pathos pull out the util. Seems like they were calming to get ready to push up, but Kennesaw State just kind of slowly shift, walked back up, and caught them off guard up on Heaven. That gave them the early pick here. And once you're in a 1v2 scenario and you need to defuse the bomb, that's a really, really hard situation to win. And Kennesaw State was able to pick up those rifles from other Miami members from earlier in the round, which also helped them finish out the game. So good, well played from Kennesaw State. They really were able to swing that back around. But unfortunately, Miami, after winning their first pistol round, is already back to a tie game and in the economic disadvantage, which is not something you'd like to see for Miami. But, can they pull off a thrifty like Kennesaw State did last round? We'll have to see.
And I really want to bring up the Doomty play that they keep doing at the beginning of every round. Instead, not pulling the trigger this time, just throwing out a breach flash. Doomty going to fall back a little bit, popping his dash just in case he does get into some sort of altercation. But it really seems like rather than pushing up as KSU expected previously, they're going to be playing at the back of the site, taking this really slowly. They know that they don't have the gun advantage, and they want to make sure that no matter what, they preserve the information that KSU is going to be able to get from their positioning.
Yeah, and I like how Miami is playing very defensively here. We see Pathos just waiting as three members of Kennesaw State are about to peek into him here. Was he able to get the shot off first? Does see one player gets a little bit of damage, have to fall back here. They're just going to get the full force of Kennesaw State's offense as they push into B Heaven. Two Miami players stuck on site here. One also on Heaven. Are they going to be able to turn around and see them in time? Unfortunately, no. A Doomty does go down, and they do take down Ricek. And yeah, Kennesaw State with those extra rifles, if they see you first, they're just going to be able to be much more quickly than just typical sheriffs will be able to do. And now Miami's going to be forced to play a 2v5, try to recapture the site, maybe even get a couple kills and get out. It's a really bad situation for Miami. They're going to have to try to just salvage whatever they can this round. Even just getting a couple picks on a Kennesaw State can hurt their economy enough to maybe help them out in the next round here. Sith Lord able to get one kill, but unfortunately falling there. Kennesaw State able to keep four of their members alive and continue their little lead here, leaving Miami at a 1-2 deficit. And it was pretty unfortunate how Kennesaw State was just, Miami was playing defensive because they had to, because they didn't have great weapons, but that just allowed Kennesaw State just to fully push up into mid. And when Pathos just met three Kennesaw players up towards mid going towards B, there's not really anything he could do there as soon as he died, and the rest of Miami wasn't really prepared because there's also pressure coming out from B long. So that was a pretty good push here from Kennesaw State. I hope Miami can sort of regroup here with their defense and try to make sure that Kennesaw doesn't keep regaining this mid control. And it seems like Miami's going to be quickly pushing up towards mid. I don't know if we can see what's going on over there, but Lord Fries, unfortunately, taking down a Doomty as he's trying to quickly dash up, forcing the rest of Miami to cool it a little bit down mid as their person who's taking all the initiative in the mid site is going to be taken down, and Kennesaw State's just going to try to take their mid advantage back and take their space onto the B side.
And as we were seeing before, they were slowly creeping up, making sure that, if they get caught, they are absolutely prepared, ready, not out in the open, ready for whatever engagement occurs, and they're going to burst onto site, plant that bomb down, and it's going to be a 5v2 coming into this post plant. Breach and Vice versus the rest of KSU. You really got to wonder if they want to be trying to play out the rest of this round. It looks like they're going to be huddling down on A site, just trying to preserve their guns.
Yeah, it's kind of really all I can do is at this situation. Maybe you play a little bit closer to site, trying to play for some exit frags. But when you're in a 2v5 scenario and you're already down the economy, it's kind of just try to save those two vandals for the next round. Wait for the rest of your team to come back with a new strategy here. And how these Miami defensive rounds have been going, it's not been very, very great for them, especially on the map that we previously thought was pretty good for them, like Abyss. We see the rest of Kennesaw State just kind of evading back towards their side of B site spawn as both Miami players are just holding a cross angle in A Heaven. I don't think Kennesaw State is going to be able to take them down, but Miami really needs to rethink their strategy on defense here when we go into this next round, because if you just let Kennesaw State keep winning these rounds, keep allowing them to keep their guns for the next rounds, and they're already getting the ult economy up. It starts getting to a point where this half might be already lost before you even have much control over it. But Miami is able to get some light shields and rifles up, so they can still have a fighting chance in this next round. But even if they do win, it's not really going to hurt Kennesaw too much, as they all have 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 extra credits to go.
And I just want to bring up really quickly, we've been seeing these kind of burst plays at the very start of Miami's defensive rounds, just really trying to take a lot of space, either on the B long or mid point of the map. And it really makes you wonder how they're going to change up the tempo, how changing up the tempo would work against KSU, because KSU is just kind of taking this defensive position where they're spread across the map, but they always have someone ready to take, to hold that angle if anyone does push up. But we're going to be seeing the Vice wall getting triggered by two of the people from KSU, the Vice and the Breach, but they're going to be walking back, possibly going all the way to B site. Neither team having a ton of information. Scariest thing, honestly, right now is the Jet pushed up so far in mid, having such a nasty angle for anyone that tries to rotate from A to mid or B. Just a scary position, especially if they are planning on pushing up B.
Yeah, and Miami is definitely playing a little bit more scared up towards mid. They're all holding off angles where Kennesaw State has been pushing up in the past, not really just trying to peek it out. So, like, if we did see that like, a couple rounds ago, if Kennesaw State gets a decent push up towards mid and just surprises one of the Miami players, things can't really, nothing can really happen there. But we did see Miami was able to get a clean kill onto the Kennesaw State player, as the rest of Kennesaw State's going to be slowly pushing into the A site, setting off some Vice utility and forcing the rest of Miami to fall back. As you know, they're going to give Kennesaw State a free site to plant the spike on, but they're going to have the main advantage as they try to retake the site.
And it's going to be scary. We saw Doomty getting that first pick on B. Most of Miami's team started rotating off slowly. Favorite Liar going to be staying at the very back of site, getting another pick, getting 2 picks. Trades going back and forth between teams. Going to leave KSU at 1 Astra versus 4 Miami OH players. And we're going to be kind of seeing this post plant we were talking about earlier, where Astra can just, our Astra can just kind of put up a smoke, and it's going to be really difficult for their player to fight back at all. But going to trade the kill there. Miami University going to take this round 2-3. How are we feeling? You brought up economy a lot earlier. KSU still going to be in the driver's seat economic-wise, but Miami OH going to be able to bring that back a little bit, especially with so many players living that round.
Yeah, only losing 1 player there, and you know, a Doomty having 3,000 credits to spare can easily buy again Favorite Liar there, and they're still in a pretty good spot. But again, Kennesaw State still in a decent economy lead, so if they do win this next round, they're pretty chilling. But you know, if Miami can keep this little momentum going, they get to keep their guns, get their economy up, and you know, they end up tying things up. Things could definitely shift back to Miami's favor. But I did really like what we saw that round. You know, that's kind of what Miami does best. If they kind of just let the attackers do what they want, and then as a team come together and retake the site, that's what really see Miami shine. Versus when, you know, Miami gets picked off 1 by 1 by a little bit of surprise. It seems like that might be happening here towards mid, as Kennesaw State just going right back to their let's go mid to B, and let's just try to get as many win as many ones as we can as a group, and just take the site for free. And it seems like that's exactly what they're going to try to do here. They take out Pathos first, and then Sith Lord, and they're just going to have a free B site essentially, as the whole team is already there, and Miami's going to have to try to retake the site with only 3 members remaining.
We're going to have 4 ults online on KSU's side, where Miami OH's, both of their ults are going to be down. I think it's so interesting at the start of this round. We're going to see a Doomty, or we saw a Doomty get really aggressive on A site, and then that allowed for KSU to burst mid, but we're going to see Miami OH get some trades out. There's going to be a 2v1. Miami's Breach, Rystick, going to be trying to take a little bit of space, see what they can do, going down to the Vice.
I was honestly really hopeful there, because, you know, unfortunately, Rice didn't have much util left, but Kennesaw State was just giving him ones. They were just, you know, as we saw, you know, obviously they can't see where each other are, but if we saw on the screen, you know, if he was able to just swing out and kill that Vise, it would be down to a 1v1 already, because, you know, the other player of Kennesaw State was just kind of behind the wall. But, you know, eventually, you know, sometimes the one just doesn't work out, and that was already a tough situation for Miami to be in. But both teams have 4 ults online. Miami 1 point away from an ult, from their 5th ult, at Kennesaw State 2 points away from theirs, both being Breach ults, ironically. But, you know, Miami not having a lot of not a lot of economy here, but with so many ults online, I'm expecting to see at least a couple played in this round, as you know, even this round or the next round is going to be a pivotal moment for Miami, just depending on how this sort of goes.
And we're going to be able to see KSU bursting out mid again, using that Jet, Breach, and I want to say Vice, just immediately running it down mid, trying to take that early B site. Miami hasn't really been able to hold the B site from the very back defender side, mid being a fairly weak point for them, but KSU, again, just going to be able to take that site early. Going to prepare, more than likely prepare some post-plant utility, though the Vice is holding down mid at the moment. All of Miami's players going to be rotating from spawn, just trying to be safe in that, because they've known in the past that KSU has always had somebody lurking mid, trying to hold that space so that they can't get a quick rotate. A Doomty going to get a headshot through the wall on KSU's Jet. Most players going to be getting flashed, and that's going to be a ult coming out from the enemy Breach. Trades coming out.
No, that's like, as soon as everything started going well, it's just I just saw the 4 kills right in a row. That was really unfortunate for Miami. Things were looking up. Doomty got an early kill there, and they were already pushing out on the site. And Pathos got the early pick, bringing them into the main advantage. But, all Kennesaw State just kind of turned around and looked at Miami, and they all just kind of crumbled here. And, Miami back into the gutter in terms of economy. I'm going to be left with Adupti trying to go on a heal rifle, try to get something done for his team, and the rest of the team likely just going to stick with pistols. Maybe Rice going for that rifle as well, but Kennesaw State completely unaffected in terms of that that economy. We did see the breach ult come out last round from Kennesaw State. Doomty also used his ult, but still four ults online from both teams as Kennesaw State's Jet decides to pop her ult as well. As it seems like Kennesaw's going to go for an A push this time rather than their classic mid to B, which seems like Miami was actually prepared for this round, but it just happens to be the round where it doesn't happen. And that's sometimes just the timing of Valorant. It's really unfortunate.
Yep, and everyone going to be falling back. Vice going to get a timing on Doomty, but Rice going to be able to punish Lord Fry's back. KSU just going to be able to take the site pretty easily, but Miami University going to have 3 players, and I would personally say 3 great ults online for a retake. Breach is specifically going to be able to take a lot of space and just put a lot of people in stun, setting up those sort of winning positions to get those advantageous kills.
Was that a collat?
Yeah, that was a collat.
No.
Collat headshot going to come out from KSU Sova. Going to secure them around 6-2. Miami University in such a difficult position here, but they're going to have the economy to try and buy back up. Not going to be able to do a full buy, but they're going to be able to get light. Most players are going to be able to get light shields and vandals, whereas KSU is going to be able to fully buy all their util and get full shields, vandals, whatnot.
Yeah, Miami's still in the ultimate advantages. They haven't really used anything last round. Maybe they figured, we don't really have the weapons to retake the site very well. It'd be a waste to use ults here. So this is definitely gonna be a pivotal moment for Miami because this is one of their last chances to make sure that Kennesaw State cannot get the advantage into the next half. Kennesaw State's already guaranteed to at least tie up this half of the map here, and Miami is going to try to do the best that they can to make sure they can win this round, keep their economy, and make sure that Kennesaw State cannot take the lead. And it seems like Kennesaw State was preparing for another mid to B push here, but Miami's extra presence in mid kind of negated them back towards the back of mid site. Not able to get anything up here yet. Sending out a Sova drone to try to get some info. Both teams sending out those Sova drones, but I expect Kennesaw State just to kind of back off and maybe go for that B site that's not completely open. As the rest of Miami just went over to the A site, assuming that that's where they're going to go next.
And I just want to point out really how interesting both these Sova ults were. Neither of them had recon in the other team, but they were just using them to cover those common points where either Miami or KSU would just try and prevent, the other team from pushing up via attacking angles that previously they weren't able to without that Sova ult. It's a very scary position, high risk, high reward in my opinion, but we're going to be seeing the Astra ult coming out on B, going to allow KSU to take so much space, but going to be completely out of ultimates after this, whereas Miami University is going to still have Astra and Vice ult and Breach ult. All great ults for retaking and reclaiming space. Vice ult going to be coming out here. Miami going to go down 2, but going to have Favorite Liar take out the Astra. Favorite Liar taking out the Sova on backside. Going to start tapping the bomb. What? Kiki is going to be able to come back around, try and do a flank, and pick off the person, defusing the bomb. That was such an insane comeback, I want to say.
I know, that was really, wow. Just the key on Kennesaw State, just having the flank position. Miami was caught off guard. Just the double tap with the Sheriff just completely ruined Miami's dreams of taking back that site. Even though they dumped so much into it, they dumped that Astral, they dumped that Sova, and they dumped the Vice ult, and things were looking good at first. Favorite Liar getting 2 picks, but just one little play like that can completely change everything. And we just see Miami's back without the economy advantage and are in a disadvantage on the site. As we see, a penguin reading a little story to 3 of the Bears there. As hopefully the story is Miami ends up winning this round in the end. But we'll see how this story plays out, as this round has already started with the Miami death. I believe that was on the A site. And Kennesaw State just seems like, we're going to go for the tried and true mid to B push, and we'll see how this goes.
And you can usually tell by the start of the round, they will always have a Breach, they're always going to have a Jet, and they're always going to have a Vice pushed up mid, just taking that space. Their utility going to be so good for just taking quick space, especially having that Jet dash and paired with the fault line and the flash. Patho's going to get the 2K really quickly. 3K! Going to be able to get a Vandal, seeing what they're going to be able to do here. Sova versus Sova, 13 seconds on the recon. Going to use an Owl drone to try and get in. KSU Sova going to push up a little bit, hearing the drone. might have a timing here. And
Oh,
yeah,
that was so unfortunate. Just that little hesitation to go up heaven made it so the drone barely have enough time to catch the Kennesaw State Sova in the other corner and just tech the wrong corner and just allowed the Kennesaw State Sova to walk up before Pathos had the gun out. That was just really unfortunate timing again. You know, that's another round that was essentially lost because of just Valorant timing. And that's one of the joys about this game. It's really wonderful.
timing's going to be amazing, but it was such a smart play for the KSU Sova just to be able to identify, hey, he's going to be using the drone to cover both areas. I believe he did that intentionally, where he pushed up just far enough where the drone would not be able to spot him, but where he'd still be able to punish any of the drone's movement. But we're going to be seeing what looks like a quick A push. Breach Utility Jet going to be dashing onto site, punishing whoever is at tower, but going to fall down to Favorite Liar. Favorite Liar still going to be holding the main. Smoked off. It looks like they're going to be falling back, potentially for a B mid push, just regrouping. Who knows? But Right Stick going to be trying to hold that mid, making sure that nobody sneaks up on them. Again, mid being the most potent location this match so far. KSU going to has gotten so much distance this match, being up 8-2. Right Stick going to get that pick. Going to be at 1 versus 5.
Yeah,
just playing slow. Miami's done so. I want to say Miami's done such a good job of playing slow this round and just punishing all of KSU's aggression. It's been so scary in the past where Doomty's been trying to push up and try to punish any KSU aggression and really, you know, get those early picks and then fall back. But I think that Miami's adjustment to just playing slow, trying to, you know, play those angles and then identify whenever utility's coming out has really done them a lot in terms of being able to hold the map better, play those defensive strategies. And I just want to bring up really quickly, I apologize, we're going to be seeing KSU, what looks like a quick B site, going to be falling into a Doomty's corner, and then he's going to fall back, going to try and get a few shots off, not going to get a kill.
Yeah, they're just trying to get an early pick there because, you know, getting those 2 picks right away was really what won Miami the round last time. Full breach detail going out on the side of Kennesaw State. Fortunately, Path was able to get 2 trades onto the side of Kennesaw State. Favorite Liar getting 1 more kill onto Lord Fries in the mid site. And after a lot of chaos in just a couple seconds, we're already down to a 2v2. Kennesaw State already planting the bomb down. Gonna get some Astra down to try to get them out of that corner there. But Sith Lord gonna go out, take down a member of Kennesaw State, and before getting a trade onto the breach. And as the last member standing, Sith Lord is going to finally defuse that spike, bring things to a 4-8. No 9-3 curse here, but still, it's going to be a lot better lead for Miami going to this round. Only down 4 rounds. But you know, if Miami ends up edging out a pistol round win here, that could snowball into a 6-8 lead. And only being down 2 rounds is pretty good here. But obviously, everything's going to come down to this first initial pistol round here.
And I just want to bring up Astra at the very end of last round, putting the bomb in such a difficult position. You never know where the 2 other enemy players are going to be, so trying to put it in that cubby, make sure that you are safe whenever you get the bomb down, and trying to play post plant from different angles is a good strategy, but it really makes it so much more difficult to keep the bomb from getting keep the enemy team from reaching the bomb. We're going to be seeing at Miami University here full stacking A site, very interesting strategy. Not playing quickly as we'd seen before. Owl Drone coming out. Case you can hear a little bit of information, know that at least the Sova's there, and another player at least. We're going to be playing quickly now. All the recon coming out. No picks so far. Abdoomty going to fall back. 2 picks from our breach. Coming into a 2v1. Miami, Ohio going to be up 1 player. I believe they're mixed up at the moment, but falling back a little bit. No, I'm wrong. I'm just completely wrong. KSU has 3 players.
It's all good, yeah. KSU's breach was able to get a really nice 3K in a row, but Doomty able to follow that up with 2 kills of his own. And it's going to leave Miami in a bit of a weird situation. Rysick does have the spike. They have 50 seconds left. They have a little bit of time to figure out what they want to do here. It seems like they might just go back for an A re-hit, but Kennesaw State hasn't really left yet, so they don't really have a chance to do that. We'll see what a Doomty the IGL ends up calling out here. Might go for a fallback to B, but they only have 30-ish seconds left to plant this bomb. So I'm not too sure what they're going to end up doing here. If they do go for the A re-hit, though, Kennesaw State's going to be ready with all 3 of their players still just kind of hanging around, and not too much util left on the side of a Doomty. Seems like Breach is going to have that stun to go out there though, so they might let them get onto the site a little bit. They might even let them plant the bomb, but we'll see how this ends up going for the rest of the round. Adoopty having already used this recall after trying to defend the planter on from Rysik, and still the Astra utility is going to take down Adoopty there. Unfortunately, I mean, not winning this pistol round, bringing things to a 4-9 deficit for them. It's going to make things a lot harder to turn around this map here. Still not impossible. I've seen crazier comebacks. We saw just now in Valorant Worlds, there was a 1-11 comeback in the playoffs there, which was insane. Maybe Miami can bring off something as insane in this round here, and they're not even in that big of a deficit compared to 1-11. We'll have to see how the rest of this round goes. As we see, Miami is going to be stuck onto pistols again, as they have to save for this next round to try to bring out the potential win there in the next round. But Kennesaw State going to have all the money in the world to defend this site with.
I just want to bring up really quickly how Miami's trying to play this round so quickly, trying to overwhelm any defenders that they find on A. Even though they might not have the best guns, getting one shot in the head by a sheriff is going to take out a player no matter what shield or health level that they're at. But KSU going to be able to hold easily with the better guns, going to be able to take this round 14, 10-4. Miami University down by about 6 rounds now. Really got to wonder what kind of strategy they're going to come into this. Miami's going to have the better guns. They're going to be able to make a lot more space with their utility. And I may be mistaken. Maybe not even that much better of guns, but this is the round to win. If they need to win any round, is specifically this one. We're going to see a little bit of Vice going out mid, maybe creating a little bit of pressure, catching anyone rotating.
Yeah, this round is really make or break for Miami, because essentially if they lose this one, based on the economy, you're already down to 4-12, which is definitely not something that they want to be in a situation, and you can't make any more mistakes going to the rest of this round. Miami's going to go for a bit of a B push this time. Adoopty almost dashing off, but thankfully that character has a recall ability. That might have been almost one of the most embarrassing plays you caught on live stream. Favorite Liar, though, getting a kill off, maybe because of Adoopty's mistake there, which maybe was not even his mistake if he got a kill off of it. But it seems like they're going to get a pick and just try to fall back, but Adoopty ends up, the Grim Reaper ends up finding Adoopty eventually, as he does get picked off by Kennesaw State's Breach. Sith Lord, though, able to get a pick on Lord Fries. He's going to definitely put the pressure on the KSU, because they're going to be down one player, and they don't know if Miami's going to be pushing just yet, or if they're going to try to go somewhere else. Seems like Miami's already going to be taking down the site, though. One of Kennesaw State's players is going to be stuck in that corner, able to get one more pick before it end up getting taken down by Rysik. Some breach on breach crime right there, and Kennesaw State still in the deficit, as an Astra takes down an Astra, and they're taking out their each other's imposters, maybe. I don't know. But there's 2v2 left, as Miami has planted the bomb. Kennesaw State has to try and take the site back from Miami. But Miami is in a decently good spot to defend the spike from, and Favorite Liar just going to decide to scope down that Guardian. Both Kennesaw State players are there, and just use some good old-fashioned body shots to take them down, bring things to a 5-10 victory. Thankfully, Miami won this round. They're not just out of this map yet. Still able to buy some guns for the people who didn't make it out of the last round. Kennesaw State now is also in a bit of a economic hardship, having only triple digits left on pretty much all of their members. Some of them not even able to buy a full rifle there. So things are definitely going to be looking up for Miami in terms of economy here, and they really need to keep this momentum going into a snowball to try to edge out this map from Kennesaw State's still 5-round lead.
Absolutely, and KSU making such an interesting decision here, full buying, which, assuming if they lose this round, will put them in such an economic disadvantage. I would even say would go across 2 rounds rather than the usual 1. We're going to be seeing them. We're going to see Miami doing a similar plan as to last time, fully pushing up on B site, except for a Vice holding the mid. Last round, Vice being mid did so much for them. Just having that presence where Favorite Liar was able to get 1 or 2 picks and then rotate back with the main bulk of the team is invaluable. It forces KSU to make longer rotations, which means they can't respond as quickly to any pushes that Miami makes on this B site. But it does look like we aren't going to be making a ton of progress here, falling back potentially after a little bit of util war. Smoke's going to be preventing Miami from getting any sight. We're going to see KSU with 2 players mid, 2 players B, and having their favorite Jet on A. Kind of a scary position for them. It's really interesting to see a solo Jet holding site. Jet, notorious for being really good at rotating really quickly, going to be able to hold angles as well that are specifically more risky for other characters just because of that dash ability. But Miami going to take a few shots mid and then rotate back B. Abdoomty completely out of util, going to be pushing up with this Breach util. Breach again out of util as well. Breach fault line going to stun a few of Miami's members. And then we're going to be seeing the Breach ult take out a few... Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. There's so much happening right now. Going to be trying to plant the bomb, unable to do so. Mishmello going to get a 4K on Miami University.
Yeah, another instance where Mist Hollow, I think maybe, is really showing their prowess with the aim there and taking down a lot of Miami's players all at once, and it really just ends up completely ruining Miami's hopes and dreams of winning that round. And at 22-7, it's definitely showing their great performance in this round so far. But Miami still has a bit of economy left to try to build up and win this round, because at this point Miami cannot lose any more rounds if they want to try to win this game, because they only have one round margin for error, and they need to make sure that they can buy guns to try and win these rounds. When they win one round, but then if Kennesaw State just wins the next one, then it's not like they're really getting any sort of economy lead right back. It's like they have one round with guns and one round without. They really got to make sure that they play some impeccable offense here on the site.
And it's so interesting. Miami University, they're being pinned right now. It's such a difficult position for them to win, but they're still all gas, no brakes. Going to be trying to rush into site, taking a few picks. It's going to be 3-2 right now. Vice and Astra versus our Astra, Sova, and Waylay. Going to be a post-plant position. Astra going to be from KSU, throwing down a few stars. Going to be able to catch Pathos. Pathos still getting the pick. We're going to be able to slow it down a little bit. Vice trying to take a little bit more sight. Waylay Abdoomty going to fall down. Scary position, but Pathos going to be able to hold that angle and get the pick.
Great stuff from Pathos. Nice little spray you got there. I got that exact same spray on the exact same bind. Love that spray. But anyway, great shots from Pathos. Able to make sure that even though Lord Fry's got an extra little pick in the backside, they can't just take their ones and end up winning the round. So, of course, a great round for Miami to win. Still in a 5-round deficit, though. Or they have to do a lot of catching up. They have a lot of catching up to do to try to bring this back, but they do have 2 ultimates online, almost 3 ultimates online compared to Kennesaw State, who still has a couple of points to go on some of their ultimates, no currently online, which means that they could definitely use the ultimate to try to secure this round and try to secure a little bit of a victory here. But that unfortunate breach stun is just going to completely predict Miami's push and take down 2 of their players. Favorite Liar, though, getting a pick down on mid. Are they going to predict that Lord Fries is still going to be there? Seems like they're just going to walk away. We'll see if Lord Fries uses that opportunity just to walk up against Miami, but it seems like they are going to do that. There's going to be a Vice wall behind Miami that's going to be able to get notified if that Vice player on Kennesaw State's side, Lord Fries, decides to fully push up behind them. But that's still something that Miami is going to have to be careful about, especially once they figure out that they're going to be behind them with that Vice wall. But, if that Vice wall doesn't get triggered and they decide to go somewhere else, then they're going to be completely caught off guard by that flank here. But it seems like Miami's just going to take their opportunity and go right onto the A site. He unfortunately getting another kill onto Pathos on the side of from the side of Miami. Abdoomty getting a great 2K but in the back of the site there before Miami's able to even plant the bomb. The Vice, though, on Kennesaw State's team is going to be finally on that flank as both Miami players are stuck on site.
Maybe some misread comms, but I don't think our Vice was aware of Lord Fries there at all. Lord Fries going to be able to secure the round from A main. Such a scary position to be in. We saw Abdoomty kind of bring Miami back into that round, but nobody was aware of the Vice over at main. And I'm wondering if the wall even triggered at all. I have to imagine it did, but difficult position for Miami University to be in. It's down 6-12. Sorry?
I don't really know what happened with that wall, because I believe the Vice was still alive when Lord Fries did end up crossing that line. Maybe just the chaos of it all wasn't really calmed correctly. But I had to imagine it's just a communication error with the team, because that would be a pretty big thing you'd want to call and be aware of. And it seems like even Abdoomty, when he was trying to win the 1v2, wasn't even aware that Lord Fries could even be there. So it might have been a bit of a miscommunication. It's really unfortunate. It's going to leave Miami with backs against the wall in a 6-round deficit. With Kennesaw State only needing 1 round left to win, deciding that this next round is going to be a full B-side push here. Going to be using that Astro Wall to try to get stuff done. Miami and Kennesaw State both having presence on site with just ults upon ults coming out. Vice ult from the side of Miami is going to be going out. I don't know if it's Kennesaw State's ult, but Miami's ult. But just kills across the board. And Favorite Liar's left, the only player alive against Kennesaw State, taking down Lord Fries. Though on the side of Kennesaw State, it's going to be a 1v1 here left on site. Favorite Liar taking a little bit of damage, but no! It's going to be swinging out into K-Walkie instead of planting the bomb, and it's going to be immediately predicted with a crosshair to the head. Kennesaw State taking that map 13-6. Unfortunately, Miami not having a very good presence at all on that map. They were really struggling to find their footing on each half of the map. And we see Mist Hollow with a pretty great performance on the side of Kennesaw State's 23-10. Next highest player being Favorite Liar on Miami, 18-16. I wish the round went better for Miami, but I know there's a lot of things that they could learn from that map. And I'm definitely a little bit surprised that Miami didn't decide to take a timeout there in that last game, because I do believe each team had access to one timeout. I don't know if it's per half or per map, but that I feel like that just being able to slow down the game and rethink their strategy there on either of the halves might have led to a little bit more success for Miami. But they thought that they didn't need it, and clearly it might have helped Kennesaw State win that map pretty handily there. But what do you think?
I think it's very interesting. I particularly wanted to bring up how aggressive Miami was getting so often with those rounds, even on their defense half. Adumti really just pushing up with some of that breach util, going to be able to get a few of the early shots in, and Miami kind of relying on that kind of signature combo, the waylay and the breach, having so much synergy together, but not going to be enough to bring it out in the last few rounds. KSU just going to be able to call out whenever Miami wanted to take that aggression a few times, going to just be able to sneak up behind them. I want to bring up in the very last round, or not the second to last round, I want to say, where KSU's Vice just heard Miami University's favorite liar, bad liar?
Favorite Liar was the name, yeah.
Yeah, Miami University's Vice just walk away, and so they were able to take up so much space. They were able to get that timing where in the chaos of it all, they didn't hear or see the wall pop up, and it's really going to be interesting coming into this next round, trying to understand how is Miami going to adapt around that. Are they going to pick maps with, less routes to flank? Are they going to try and prioritize their agent picks to prevent any of those flanks, such as, for example, picking up Cypher and dropping Vice in that place?
Yeah, like we said before this started, Abyss was typically a stronger map for Miami, and clearly, Kennesaw State seemed like they were just more prepared for this map, which I feel like caught Miami a little bit off guard there. And I feel like based on what we've seen in the past, they're definitely a better team than what they showed in that round there. But it seemed like there was a lot of little unfortunate timings. Parts where Kennesaw State was just kind of spamming the mid to B push, and it's been working. It was working pretty often because Miami wasn't really challenging it that much. They would maybe have someone like Pathos sit in that little room, try to catch them through. But when you have three people spamming util at you, there's not really much you can do there, and that just gives them the control of the back half of Miami, and then anyone who's on site just kind of stuck there. So those kind of pushes that Miami wasn't really able to answer. That's definitely something that they could have worked on, or some of the rounds like we saw, especially with that with Lord Fries on the side of Kennesaw with that flank onto the A site. That just seemed like maybe there was a couple of communication errors there about where the flanker was and if there even was a flanker in the first place. But it seems like that the team's going to take a couple minutes to sort of reset. So hopefully during that time they can sort of calm down, talk about what kind of went wrong, and they do have this next map pick because they did lose this current map. So hopefully that they can choose a map that they feel more comfortable on and try to get the momentum back and bring this to hopefully a map 3. But yeah, we're gonna, as I said before, the players gonna take a little bit of a break. We're gonna take a little break here on stream. We're gonna be back with Miami versus Kennesaw State map 2 coming up soon. Hello, and
What?
we are back to we're back with Queen City Clash qualifiers. Map 2, we see Miami University versus Kennesaw State. We're going to bind, which ironically these two maps were the exact same maps we played 2 Fridays ago. Bind ended up being the one that we lost on, though, pretty handedly to Harvard University. But we're going to go back to this map again, and we do see the double initiator on the side of Miami, as well as on the side of Kennesaw State. It's hard because it's the same exact abbreviation as another team in our conference that we play so often. But Kennesaw State, and as you said before, that the double initiator comp seems pretty still pretty prominent, even though a lot of the initiators got nerfed recently. But what are your sort of thoughts on that?
So I actually really want to point out how Miami University played a different comp from this one, a very similar one, but instead of the sky, they had a breach again, as we saw during that abyss map, and instead of a raise, we had a waylay. Very similar comp to what we saw on abyss. It makes me think that they're trying to adjust how they play and by choosing different characters rather than just having a static pick on each map. And we're going to be able to see Favorite Liar throwing out a quick smoke on B long. Gonna get a few shots in here that there's at least one player gonna be around B site, falling a little bit back. A lot of A presence gonna be able to rush in. KSU trying to take so much space. Sith Lord gonna be put in such a difficult position. KSU gonna be able to find 2 kills. Miami University down 3-4. KSU holding the entire site on the back foot. Brim Smokes just came up a second ago. Gonna be able to hold site pretty well. We're gonna see a bit of sky utility come in, trying to find anybody. Gonna see the shoulder of the Brim. It's such a difficult position because they don't know where most of the players are. That flash sky, not going to be able to find anyone, but they know at least Brim is going to be nearby. Going to catch that fade, going to get caught by the cross. I don't know the term for that, but both players were watching different angles and going to be able to cover for one another.
Yeah, I did see there was one of the players on Kennesaw State disconnected. I'm pretty sure that's like right after they got a kill onto a Miami player, they DC'd, which is kind of hilarious. But or at least in that corner. But yeah, Kennesaw State was able to unfortunately, even though some of them were lower health, take down the rest of Miami. And something that I didn't really bring up before the map started, things were going a little bit quickly there. Both teams have no Sentinel in favor of 2 controllers, both having Brimstone and Viper on their sides. And as we see on Bind specifically, Viper can be used like a Sentinel on this map. Her wall is really, really strong, especially as we saw Kennesaw State just throws that wall onto towards U-Haul on the A site. And that we did see in that last round that allows you a pretty good safe spots for you to just all rush U-Haul and can really throw off the defenders on that site there. And that's a pretty standard wall that'll always be thrown. So it's kind of just it leaves in the defender's mind, like, that wall is up, will they push U-Haul, or are they just kind of baiting a reaction or trying to make us think that we're there when we're not there? And that lurking Viper can really change the game in a lot of senses on this map. As we saw, last time Miami played Bind, I believe it was Favorite Liar on the Viper, was doing a lot of lurk plays that was helping Miami out when they did end up winning those rounds. It usually started off with Favorite Liar getting an extra pick on a lurk play, and that just let Miami have the man advantage to go onto a even a different side of the map, but still allow them to get that momentum going here. But what do you sort of think about that initial round that we just saw?
I think it really brought out the value that Yor is going to be able to bring to KSU. Just going to be able to put a lot of pressure on Belong, and even though the Yoru nerf came out where you can hear the Yoru teleport happen regardless of if it's where Yoru is at or where the gate's at, you can kind of tell it's a very valuable pick, just being able to play on one side of the map and then immediately teleport across it, being able to play on a 5 stack. We pushed up A short and then we took so much space with it. Going to be able to take out the 2 Miami defenders on A site, leaving B site completely alone. 3 of the players coming in, not going to be able to really do much against Brim's long-standing smokes. Sky's going to be able to, did try and get in with some of her utility. The dog coming out, not going to be able to see anyone except for the Brim at the very end of U-Haul, and then the Skybird coming out, not going to be able to see anyone. It's such a difficult position to be in, having no information at all, and then KSU just ended it lickety split.
Yeah, and that bind A site, especially when Kennesaw State was as aggressive and as quick as they were on their attack of that site. Once you get that site locked down, it's pretty hard to retake on the defender side, especially when both teams are running comps with a Viper, with a Brimstone, who have some of the most expansive and versatile, site blocking, not because that's not always smokes because the Viper has like that big wall, but just site blocking abilities in the game. It can, when you can't really see where the enemy's at or even hear where they're at, it's really hard for you to discern where to play on that site. And even when we saw in the last round where Miami kind of had an inkling that they were in that U-Haul spot because a lot of players like to sit in there, both their sky flashes unfortunately didn't end up catching out any players, which might have tricked them a little bit, thinking that maybe there's actually no one there, or even if like they knew that someone's there, they still weren't flashed, which made it a little bit unfortunate because they had no flashes left to use further pushing into that spot. And they were just face to face with a pretty even 1v1, and they even had a defender's advantage compared to they had to swing and then react to whoever was there. So that was a really unfortunate round there for Miami. We'll see how this next round sort of plays out. I believe I'll be surprised if Kennesaw State plays a similar play with that Viper wall. We saw on Abyss, they once they found a play that worked, they kind of stuck to it. Eventually after some experimentation. But yeah, I would like to see how Miami can sort of react to this play here, because maybe even playing a little bit more aggressive on that U-Haul angle might let them might make it harder for Kennesaw State to get sort of any sort of pressure started early on in the round. But what do you sort of think about that?
And I do want to bring up a little bit about, you brought it on a bit earlier on, so this may be kind of off topic, but the versatility of the two smokes that they bring in, both Miami University and KSU, going to bring in the Brim and the Viper. Brim going to have those long-standing smokes, but only 3 of them, very limited amount. But Viper going to have a lot of different kinds of smokes, with specifically the wall, the orb. It's not going to last that long. Viper's been seeing a lot of nerfs. Maybe not as recently, but in the past, where she used to have so much gas, going to be able to keep those smokes up for so long. And over time, Valorant's just been kind of nerfing her slowly, making sure that her walls don't stay up as long, which works really well into this comp, specifically when you're going to be able to see those short bursts of bringing up the wall and recharging it. Going to work so well for take going onto a site, and then Brim Smoke's just going to be able to secure it, lock it down, prevent anyone that's coming in from B site to be able to play with the defenders that are already on site.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how you mentioned earlier how this Yoru is going to be played on this map, because this is kind of one of Yoru's only somewhat viable maps, because he has those teleports that can end up going through the other teleports, which can really shake up how this game is sort of played, because you only hear the notification that someone teleported with the sort of initial pass through. If you hear a Yoru go through a teleport that went through a teleporter, you only hear when his teleport teleports. Someone put a count on how many times I just said teleport in the chat. But anyways, so you can really surprise the enemy team with where those teleporters can end up being placed, because you can be on B site long, throw a teleporter down to A site showers, and just instantly teleport there and support your team, even though when maybe Kennesaw State would think that you still have presence on the B site. So that can really shake things up, especially how the comfortable these Yorus are on the map. We did just see with the recent patch notes, though, Yoru was nerfed a decent amount. Of course, his flash time was brought down to be more in line with the rest of the agents, but also when he says ultimate, he can only throw out or use his teleport ability. He can't use his flash or his clone, which definitely makes things a little bit harder to, definitely makes the ultimate a little less viable, and makes things a little harder to use that character on. But still, this character is still pretty strong on this bind map. And even if we don't end up throwing a teleporter through a teleporter, you can still have insane amount of spots where you can just kind of throw that there, let it sit, and just really catch the enemy off guard here. But it seems like we should be hopefully soon getting back into the game after a Kennesaw State player disconnected. But I think we might be going to a little bit of a break here, as it's taking a bit longer than we expected for them to go back into game. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back with the rest of Map 2 very shortly. All right, a very short 50-second break there, but finally, Kennesaw State of Long Fries is back, and we are getting right into round 2 of this map here. Seems like Kennesaw State is going to be going for a full B push, but it seems like Miami is somewhat ready for that as they're getting aggressive too. But it seems like the roles might have swapped here, as Kennesaw State is going to get the site as Miami University gets back in their spawn, and Kennesaw State starts to realize that, turns right around and tries to get those picks off early. Some trades, though, going off in the background. Unfortunately, that sniper's in a very good position for Miami for Kennesaw State to hold back Miami, and like we said, they completely just swap positions. Kennesaw State now has a site, and now Miami has to fight their way back into the site. It's a little bit of a amusing sight to see. Seems like Miami's going to go up towards Hookah into the crosshair. He is able to take him down. No, unfortunately, wasn't ready for that, but Rysick able to get the trade. As they're going to get the Bulldog as well, but only 21 health and Wingman to his side. We'll see if he's able to get anything done here. Walks out of the smoke right into the crosshair of a Kennesaw State player, but no, unfortunately, being too low of health. Even just one shot from the Guardian is able to take him down, and that's going to bring things to a 2-0 lead for Kennesaw State. But Miami should have the economy here to buy up on these rifles and try to bring things back and try to make sure that Kennesaw State doesn't bring this to a 3-0 lead. That'd be really unfortunate for them, especially as we saw in the last map. If Kennesaw State can get a any sort of advantage or snowball going, they can definitely ride it to the end with a victory. So Miami needs to make sure that they can bring this round under control and make sure that they can get around on the board pretty soon.
And I'm just going to bring this up really quickly. I am loving how aggressive Miami is getting with these plays. Just every time they see an opportunity to try and bring the fight to KSU, they find it. And I would honestly say with the gun disadvantage, they were very successful last round. Going to be able to take out a few of KSU's members. Going to be making those fights look even, honestly. With the Brim going to be pulling up from the KSU spawn. Missed Hollow going to be able to get a 2K with the Sheriff. Going to be taking so much of sight, throwing down the smoke, really just locking it down. Miami University stuck on the A site, not knowing exactly what's going on, just knowing 2 players are going down on B, and it looks like they're trying to stay on A site, predicting possibly that it was a fake, but going to be able to hear the bomb getting planted now. Both players going to be able to teleport over, possibly just going to be doing a save here. 2v5, I can't imagine they're going to be trying too hard to be able to, fight back against this.
Yeah, and, especially when you're so down on a round where you're supposed to win, where you bought all those guns, I think it's just the safe play for Miami to try to hold on these guns and bring them into the next round, try to see if they can get anything going there. But yeah, that initial play onto the B site where it seemed like Pathos and Favorite Liar both wished some shots on the missed hollow, and he was just able to line up that Sheriff and get 2 kills right away, just really showing how valuable the Sheriff can be in the hands of a someone who has some pretty good aim there. And just sometimes everyone with shots, and that's not really anyone's fault there. Lord Fry is surprisingly dying to the bomb there anyway, so that's a little bit good for Miami. But yeah, everyone missed shots sometimes, so it's unlucky. Maybe they should have killed him, but either way, it's like, it just ends up being an unfortunate round loss for Miami, and brings us so they only have those 2 guns that they saved from the last round going to this round, which maybe they can use to bring some extra value to the team this round. But they're still in a pretty big deficit in economy. Ultimate's looking about the same for both teams. But we'll see if Miami's able to hold these close angles with their pistols and try to pick up some rifles on the side of Kennesaw State and try to use that to win out the round, because they're definitely going to need any sort of early picks and rifles here. But it seems like Kennesaw State's just going to go for another full B push with their Viper lurking on the A site, trying to get some info and maybe communicating to Kennesaw State if it's safe to rotate back and do an A site push instead.
And Miami University playing a little back now. Kennesaw State going to be trying to predict that aggression, going to be throwing up the wall, trying to fake possibly an A-lurk, but our Miami University's Brim is going to be able to peek that very quickly, knowing that nobody's there, kind of just dancing back and forth. You really got to, the tension's rising. Brim going to be able to see the fade from Kennesaw State, throwing down some util, mollying off the entrance, trying to prevent anyone from getting in, but we're going to be able to see Kennesaw State, 3 players going to be pushing up to the main site, going to be able to take 1, 2 people down. He going to be able to take out Sith Lord and Raysack. I think I missed that really quickly, but Miami University going to be losing sight, going to be down 3-5 again. You really got to be wondering, how do they want to be playing this how do they want to be retaking this site? It's a very tricky position to be in. It's very scary to be down 3 rounds and not have anything be going your favor in this one. Going to be able to use the Berg and know that there is at least one person in U-Haul. Going to be throwing out another Berg, trying to get that. And going to be able to get
Nice.
the 2K. Pathos going to be trying to push up a little bit further onto site. Favorite Liar going to be swinging around. It's going to be a 2v3. Miami University going to be able to even it back up.
Oh,
Not-
no! Pathos was so close to an ace there, almost bringing things out to a win for Miami when everything looked so dire. But unfortunately, yet again, it just seems like a story where Miami just ends up losing the 1v1, and then that costs them the entire round. And that's been kind of the story of this entire series. And, you know, I'm sure there's like a more macro reason to why they're losing these 1v1s, but obviously I'm not the greatest Valorant player. I'm not really too sure what that would be. But, you know, it's just been a lot of situations where Miami decides to go for a 1v1 or decides to peek an angle or hold an angle together, and they just end up losing the aim duel there. Or, you know, maybe don't have the best utility to fight that 1v1 right there, and that ends up costing them the rest of the round. But great performance still from Pathos. A 4K is still nothing to scoff at, but, you know, that ace would have been so hyped and would have given Miami a little bit more momentum going to this next round. But Key is just going to be immediately going to be satching on the side using that explosive. Doomty, though, fortunately able to kill, be able to get a pick before Key just gets the kill, but ends up killing himself as well, unfortunately. So, you know, with that little trade there, with that raise ult, Miami's still in a player advantage with that Sky all online. It seems like most of Kennesaw State's going to be on towards the B side, right to the crosshair. Favorite Liar able to get one down, but unfortunately gets traded. The rest of Miami's going to have to rotate back to the site, and Kennesaw State's likely going to get a free plant down, but down one player.
So this is such an interesting position to be in, especially compared to what we've been seeing prior. Miami University going to have the numbers advantage this time, but still KSU is going to be holding down site. They're going to be preferring to play on B long, playing a little bit of Garden with that Yoru Fade, because of how good Fade's ult is going to be coming out here, going to be able to retake a lot of the space, going to be putting on DK, but Miami University holding. They know that they're both in Garden, unlike previous times where they had one person, or for example, they would have one person Garden, one person Hookah, just going to be able to get that cross. You're not going to know where to aim. This time, Miami University is going to be able to catch them off guard. Catch them both in Garden. Nobody's going to be moving around, holding it, and going to be able to finish out the round. Now, this is going to be Miami University's first round in this game so far. 2 ults on the board. Kind of scary position for KSU to be in, just because giving that key ult and not getting a lot of value from it. Trying to replicate that aggressive momentum-based playstyle and just not going to make a lot of distance. But we're going to be seeing KSU kind of split here, more than likely going to be taking a slow sort of pace to this round, trying to see where the defenders are, try and catch any aggression. We're going to see we're going to see Key get a kill on a Doonty. Favorite Liar going to be able to trade out. Mist Hollow going to be able to get Pathos real quick across the across the map. Yeah, both teams it's still playing it very slow. We're going to be seeing one of Miami's players on B and then 2 on A site. Looks like KSU is slowly making their way onto A. Going to be using the Yoru ult to get a lot of information, see what they can do. Going to see one player only going to notice the Gecko. Are they going to catch the Brim? Does not look like they catch the Brim, but they're going to be smoking out. Not going to be able to retaliate much with tower positioning. Going to give enough time for Viper to rotate back. Going to see what they're going to be able to do for it. Post-plant positions are going to be coming out from KSU. With 2 players playing U-Haul. We're going to see the Gecko come out here. Not going to be able to stun anybody, but going to use that utility. Knows at least where one of the players are. Going to be able to use this flash. Only one player gets flashed. And it's just going to be a Gecko coming out here again. 3v1. What is he going to be able to do? Wingman getting put on bomb. Going to push up a little bit. Not going to be able to get the kill.
Yeah, when you're 3v1 such a scenario right there, it's pretty hard to do anything, even though if you have your little wingman there helping you defuse the spike. And that Gecko ult not end up getting that player in the corner was really unfortunate. You know, you already have an ultimate off the board and didn't get any value off of it. Couldn't even go back to reclaim that. So good attempt for Miami, but unfortunately they couldn't really get anything started, as you know they already lost some players early on in the round, and then they couldn't really stop that KSU plant, unfortunately. And you know that 2 rounds ago, that was a pretty great win for Miami that led them to have a pretty nice economy last round and the ult advantage. So it looked like things might be looking up for Miami. But you know, just another sequence of unfortunate events, and Miami ends up losing that round instead, unable to bring that economic snowball that maybe would have been had if they won that last round. But Doomsday trying to catch out an early pick onto Kennesaw State, but ends up going down. Those brimstone smokes coming out early from Kennesaw State, so Miami just be forced to fall back into backside and allow Kennesaw State to get a free bomb plant, and it seems like they're just going to fall right back into that short side of the site and force Miami to retake the spike without knowing where any Kennesaw State player is.
And it's such an exciting position we're going to be able to see here. KSU going to take so many of those corners again, just going to be able to lock down this A site. I want to say at the beginning of the round, they stacked A site, maybe a little bit of a read on the Viper, going to be using ult immediately on B, so they're no longer going to have it for the rest of the round. Pathos going to be trying to fight his way out, but not quite going to get it. Lord Fries, I can't imagine KSU does not feel extremely confident in this position. Up 6 rounds to 1. This is Miami's counter pick. What are you thinking? How would you approach this if you were a player inside of Miami?
You know, if I'm on the side of Miami, you know, I would definitely be a little sad right now. You know, you're already down 5 rounds. Kennesaw State's already guaranteed to come out of this half without not being in the deficit. You don't really have the greatest guns. You do have an ultimate online, which arguably better than Kennesaw State's ultimates, but we'll see if you're able to use it to any advantage here as Doomty immediately pops it all out, expecting someone to be out short, but no one's going to end up being there. It seems like it's going to end up being a waste anyway.
Yep.
And 2 players on Miami Varsity already going down. Doomty does getting some value off the ultimate, but unfortunately after already getting traded as he sent the ultimate out, and Miami's already in 2 to 4 deficit here, and things are not looking great on the side of Miami. And like I said last round, I'm kind of surprised that Miami hasn't ended up using a timeout to their advantage here and making sure that they can regroup and reconvene with their strategy. Unless there's something in the rules for this qualifier that means that you can't use timeouts, but I feel like that'd be a little strange. I'm just a little bit surprised why Miami isn't trying to use a timeout to reevaluate the strategy, because clearly Kennesaw State is able to use their own strategy to kind of make sure that Miami can't really get anything started here, even if they do win a round, as we saw on not only this map, but the last map as well.
And I just want to point out again how KSU's been able to dominate this A side of the map. Just really being you see them every time. They'll poke a little bit at B, make sure that Miami's team tries to, you know, wrap around, respond to there being so many players there, but just going to be able to take enough space, far enough where they're going to be able to use a teleporter, make it all the way back to A site and just lock it down. A site being a very dominant, a very easy site to defend once you have control of it. A couple of players just messing around in spawn.
Yeah, if you're a Kennesaw State player, you gotta be looking very good right now. You're already in the lead, guaranteed to come out of this half in the lead. Miami only having 1 round win under their belt. You're up 7 to 1, and you have the economy and ultimate advantage. Things are looking pretty good for you, but right now Miami really needs to lock in here, really needs to win this round here to try and bring back the economy for this half of the round, because, you know, they do have the guns this round. You know, they aren't really close to too many ultimates here, but, you know, if they do win this round, that means they have guns for the next round, and then if they keep winning, they can bring this up to only a 5-7 deficit, which, especially with the pistol round one in the next half, pretty much means that you're already back to even, which could be really helpful for Miami. But of course, that means that Miami has to win the next 4 to 5 rounds in a row, and things are already not looking good off the start. An early Brimstone ult's going to force Miami off of the A site, and they're going to be able to get some early picks off of that. Miami, yet again, left in a man deficit, stuck backside because of all that Brim utility, and Kennesaw State is able to sit in their oh-so-comfy front of the A site and just be able to swing anyone that decides to go for the bomb. And this consistent Kennesaw State strategy has been able to just win them round after round. Pathos, though, able to get a kill on the Mist Hollow. Favorite Liar getting kill on the DSNI. Let's see, Miami's able to just aim their way to victory here, but Kai just with the shorty in the U-Haul was getting a somewhat disrespectful kill onto Pathos there. But Favorite Liar, though, with some good aim, trying to get kill onto Kai, but unfortunately Lord Fries was right there for the trade. It brings things to an 8-1 lead for Kennesaw State, and Miami has no guns left to bring into this next half of the round. And I really think Miami they really need a rethinking of the strategy here, because Kennesaw State has been kind of just spamming the same thing over and over again. It's been winning. That's the same thing that we saw in Abyss. As soon as they figured out their mid to B push worked, they just kept doing that. And they seem to figure out now that if they just send at least Lord Fries to work A, he can usually get a pick here or get some pressure onto the A side, and that can allow them to continue to push through and win the round. We'll see if Kennesaw State ends up going for the B side this time. It has worked for them in the past, but you know, maybe Miami will have a little bit more of a chance onto this round here. But DSNI already popping the Euro ult, getting some early info onto the site of B. Seems like he was able to spot the players of Miami without being spotted himself, and it seems like Miami just instantly backs off with putting no pressure on the Kennesaw State, allowing them to get the free plant down, and Miami's already stuck in the backside and already down the player.
You got to really wonder here, what are they so afraid of? At this point, Miami has given up so much of the space after seeing only a little bit of pressure. The Yoru going to come out. As we talked about prior, he's not able to flash anymore. He's not able to throw any utility that's really going to be of an immediate danger to anyone that's trying to hold sight. And so, falling back, I don't know if that was the correct play. Gecko utility going to find one, going to be able to teleport out, going to trade the brims by Miami University in a 1v3 now of Doomty, going to be able to get that pick. Hookah timing coming up, going to be able to fight, not quite it. And I do want to bring up a little detail before I pass it off to you. Our Miami University's Viper has been throwing their orb on B-Long and then throwing immediately raising it just so that they can get those ult points quicker. We're going to see them on 7-9 right now, meaning 2 ult points away. Getting that orb again and getting 1 kill. Something along those lines is going to be allowing for what I believe is going to be the most influential ult in this game, the Viper's Pit.
Yeah, we haven't seen Lord Fries on the side of Kennesaw State use that at all, so you know, any sort of Viper ult can completely lock down any sort of area of the site, can kind of deter the other team away. So we'll see how that sort of goes, but Miami, unfortunately, in a 8-round deficit here, I believe was able to get some sort of guns up, but Quacky already getting a kill onto a Doomty, unfortunately. And yet again, you know, Miami just getting picked off early. Kennesaw State, leaving Kennesaw State just the extra freedom in the space to just walk onto the site. And in Miami, again, just not really showing too much pressure here because, you know, like you said in the last round, I think a good way to say it is Miami's just playing like they're really scared of this Kennesaw State team and they feel like they have to play together to get anything done. But, you know, good thing Sith Lord, though, able to win 2 1v1s in a row, getting things off. Fade ult going out for Kennesaw State, though. But Sith Lord getting yet another kill on the Quacky. Maybe try to prove me wrong here with my previous statement. Lord Fries, though, getting a trade onto them. Sith Lord with 4 kills, though. It's the same situation as Pathos was in a couple rounds previously. Is the ace going to come out this time? We'll see. Going to be peeking into Lord Fries. Barely see each other here. Sith Lord with no utility left is going to be trying to swing out Lord Fries, trying to bait him out of this corner here, please. Can we get a kill? Yay!
Ace is going to be coming out from Sith Lord. Miami University taking their 2nd round. This is how comebacks are made. 3-9 curse.
We could see the 9th curse coming out. This is Sith Lord finally getting maybe finally getting redemption for Pathos failed ace in pretty much the exact same situation just a couple rounds prior. But good stuff from Sith Lord there, just completely proving me wrong. Thankfully I was proven wrong because Miami now has another round on the board. Could be trying to provoke a 9-3 curse here. We'll see. We've seen it work well in the past, especially in my ranked games, unfortunately. But you know, Miami having enough currency to get some guns on the board. Kennesaw State, though, plenty of money to get guns on the board. Kennesaw State going to be having 2 ults, only 1 away from Mist Hollow's Brim ult as well. And Miami having 2 ults as well, but two of their ults, I would say, were more impactful than that Brim ult that could eventually come online. Doomty getting an early kill to Mist Hollow as well means we're not even going to see that Brim ult at all. Doomty getting 2 kills there. Great stuff for Miami, and it seems like Miami's determined to bring this 9-3 curse into effect.
So I just want to point out really quick how valuable the Viper ult has been this round so far. It allowed Miami University to 4-stack A site, just really be so confident that KSU is not going to be trying to go for B at all. We've been talking about it a bit earlier, how KSU has been kind of provoking B, but not really pushing up until they are absolutely sure that nobody is on site, as we've seen with the Yoru, I believe, 2 rounds prior. It's going to allow for them to push up a little bit here, seeing so much presence from Miami University, kind of getting that correct read in the fact that there is not going to be a B push this round. Going to be able for Doomty to get that 1 pick on the raise. Going to pop an ult, not quite. Favorite Liar going to peek out of their ult. Going to get another kill. This is going to be Viper against the world. And having that 1v4, but having that ult is going to be so valuable here. Miami University going to come in, going to be able to get a trade.
Thankfully able to win another round, which is not only going to make things easier for them, but maybe makes Kennesaw State a little bit more worried because, you know, Miami was able to finally win 2 rounds in a row instead of just 1 round, which means, you know, maybe Miami has finally started to get things started here. And it's just like Lord Fries just saying some jokes in the all chats. We'll see a little friendly banter here, but Miami is now on the side of attack here, which, you know, that completely changes how the strategy works on each of these maps. We'll see if they play as kind of slow and as disciplined as Kennesaw State was, you know, where they were kind of just waiting for as much info as they could from their Viper usually on the A site, which is similar to what Miami's playing now, and just using that info to sort of push out as a team fully once they get that sort of info down. But seems like we're gonna see mostly beat push, but like we said, we're gonna see that Viper on the side of Miami gonna be lurking on A with that default wall that everyone ends up throwing. But it seems like a lot of Kennesaw State is prepared for this plan, as we see 4 of their players on B site, with 3 of them just sitting on Garden.
And we're going to be seeing the nade coming out. We're seeing the enemy Raze just trying to hang out there a little bit longer than you would think would be appropriate, by trying to just kind of get an eye for whether or not they'd be able to sit there, get the unexpected timing when they thought, when they think they clear it out with the nade. Did they actually clear it out? Did they not? Such an important ability for the Raze to be able to understand. Favorite Liar pushed up so far, going to be able to get a pick. Brysic going to be able to get another one in Showers. Miami University locking down A site. Again, this was the strategy that got KSU this huge lead. And just being able to lock down the A site, we're going to see Smokes a bit pushed up as compared to KSU, allowing for him a bit more of a presence. Going to be really confusing for KSU trying to come into here, knowing where is Miami going to be. They have so many more angles, so many more corners to hold this site from. And I'm really curious coming into this, how is KSU going to be approaching this? Going to have to be holding the kind of the opposite strategy. How did they beat their own strategy? But going to be able to get the first pick on Sky. Going to get another one on the Gecko. Miami University going to be able to take down the enemy Viper. Yoru coming down, and then that's the fade. Miami University takes Pistol.
Great stuff from Miami, and like you said, that they kind of used exactly Kennesaw State's strategy and flipped it back on. Now the shoe's all back on the other foot, and Kennesaw State seemed like they couldn't really retake the site as well as they could defend it in the last round. So yeah, just good round one for Miami. Isn't allow them to bring up these guns into this round. Means that on paper they should win this next round as well. Bring it to a 5-9 deficit, which is definitely a lot better than a 3-9 deficit. But, as we've seen in the past, though, Kennesaw State has been doing pretty good on these thrifty rounds as well. They could easily get a couple early picks with that Sheriff and completely stop Miami's sort of momentum, as well as picking up their guns. So it kind of just depends on how Miami decides to play this round again. It seems like it's going to be a pretty similar start to the last round, but instead, Kennesaw State's not going to be as aggressive onto the Garden angle, as they know Miami's weapons are a lot more better suited for a long range than theirs are. And we're playing a lot more closer angles and expecting Miami to make the first move. And we'll see if Lord Cry is able to catch out Sith Lord off guard, but Sith Lord is just going to have that Stinger to do some burst damage and take them down. Favorite Liar taking on Mist Hollow, who's going to try to go for a little bit of a early push there onto Favorite Liar. But it seems like there's another player. Key is still behind Miami players here, and the Miami players who teleported seem not aware. This could be a devastating flank for Miami if Key can catch them out on time and get a kill here. Rysick becoming dizzy. Seems like he's going slow and steady, trying to catch these two Miami players off guard. This could be a huge loss for Miami, but thankfully, Adumti was able to turn around and catch Key on time. Maybe Key was going a little bit too slow. That could have been an insane flank for the side of Kennesaw State. But Sith Lord, unfortunately, whipping all of the Stinger shots. Going to take some damage from the flanking Yoru, but fortunately, Favorite Liar able to take on Quacky from the other side of the site. So that flank shouldn't be too worrying, as it is just a half-health Yoru versus 4 Miami players with weapons. Should be an easy close out of the map here. But, it was almost pretty scary for those two Kennesaw State flanks, but thankfully Adumti turning around, turned that from a potential disaster to, it's just all right. We got this round in the bag still.
And I just want to bring up what a beautiful adaptation from Miami University we just saw. 2 flanking characters, Yoru and the Raze, both in places that they wouldn't have expected. Viper going to be able to clear out, get that one pick, but not be able to see the Raze. Raze in such an unexpected position, but Adumti just making that great adaptation, doubling back, making sure, hey, are we really in a safe position here? Did anyone maybe sneak to our spawn? Something like that. But they're going to be able to take out the enemy Raze and just be able to close out the round. Miami University looking like they're a bit split across the map, trying to see if they can get any of that early info. We're going to see again, Viper going to be playing a bit of A short. What an interesting position to be in. And we're going to be able to see Miami pushed up a bit, be long, see what they can do. Going to get shot by the Op. What an interesting weapon to be buying here. The Op, as we all know, a one-shot kill just about no matter what. And if you let that get into the enemy's hands, that's an immediate swing of the eco. It doesn't matter if the enemy team has to buy pistols. Just having an op sets them up to dominate those long-range fights. We're going to see Favorite Liar pushing up a little bit more, trying to see what they can do. Judge, not going to matter. They're going to be able to push up, punish Raze for being so far up and being in that molly. Patho's going to be able to shoot the fade you kill. Smoke's coming down, trying to put down
A.
Spike gonna go down, not quite yet with the Wingman. Recently, Wingman's HP actually gonna be a nerf from, I believe, 60 to 20. Sith Lord still having that stinger. Both teams very near one another, but not any interactions happening just yet. Just gonna be able to barely avoid the box spam, not quite it. Molly's gonna go down, gonna punish Rystic for being behind the boxes.
Thankfully, so Miami took down the operator player on the side of Kennesaw State, so that might make things a little less scary on the side of Miami, but Burckle is able to get a kill. Favorite Liar getting the trade on the Quay and Favorite Liar with a 4K, able to take down the Kennesaw State team from defusing the spike. And I was a little bit scared there when we first saw the operator in the beginning of the round, because that's kind of the perfect weapon for defense. It was clear that the Yoru player on the side of Kennesaw State just completely didn't buy anything the first 2 rounds, just so they could have the operator for that round and try to bring things around. But it seems like, you know, that the operator just got 1 kill and didn't really do anything else, which is definitely the best case scenario pretty much for the side of Miami. And now Miami is in a situation to have that economic advantage, have those guns up, and Kennesaw State is going to have to save again. And they don't have any ults up, as Favorite Liar with that 4K was able to get that Viper's pit up, which could be a huge advantage here in this round, but I'm not even sure if they'll need to pop it here based on the guns that Kennesaw State has. Favorite Liar already getting an early kill onto the Yoru. Favorite Liar getting to another kill on the Mist Hollow, as KSU is kind of using no util and just swinging right to the person with a Phantom. Key finally able to take him down. Wasn't really able to pick up his gun though, as Sith Lord was waiting for the trade. But yeah, you know, Favorite Liar's able to get some pretty easy ones, as Kennesaw State just completely swings into him with just pistols. Sith Lord kind of stuck here between 2 Kennesaw State players. Adoopty though coming back to help out, and Kennesaw State's already down just to Key, who took down Favorite Liar earlier. It's stuck in a 1v4. I wouldn't be surprised if they decided just to save this rifle, as you know, we do know that the rest of Kennesaw State's pretty broke in terms of the rest of this round, but it seems like they're going to be swinging out. Might be trying to go for a little bit of a pick here, but there's going to be 2 players on Miami's side holding down this angle, so I don't expect to get anything off of it. Yeah, Doopy decides to swing at the perfect moment and takes down Key there, bringing things to just a 7-1 deficit, which back when we were 1-7, something like this kind of seemed impossible here. And finally, we see a timeout coming out, but from the side of Kennesaw State. I don't know why Miami wasn't like allergic to the timeout button earlier, but it seems like finally someone found that button, is going to be using it. And I love to see Miami coming back here. Obviously, they still have 2 or 3 rounds to bring this back into their favor, but still some great stuff here from Miami, using a lot of Kennesaw State strategy from the last half and using it to their own advantage. And Kennesaw State seems like they can't really fight well against their own strategy.
And speaking of Miami using Kennesaw State strategy, that's my Favorite Liar. I love Miami's Viper so much. Favorite Liar, going to be able to get a lot of those timings. Such an independent role, going to be able to use utility from across the map anywhere. It's such a global utility, the Viper wall. You never know where Viper is going to be based off how she uses her utility. You know, either setting up fakes or going to be able to set up positions where she's able to get really far into enemy territory without you knowing. You know, these huge smoke walls. But also, as we've been seeing, Favorite Liar going to be able to get a lot of kill streaks. One of the 4Ks during the rounds, absolutely doing so much in terms of how they were able to play around KSU's roster.
Yeah, and I really like this timeout from Kennesaw State. You know, you see Miami was able to win 6 rounds in a row, essentially, not counting the half break. And you're in a little bit of a harder spot. You know, that round lead you had, you know, just 7 rounds ago is slowly dwindling away. And now you're finally back to a round where you all are able to full buy. So this is really a pivotal round for Kennesaw State to try to win back and make sure they can hold Miami back from completely taking back their lead, because losing this round could mean that you're stuck in a 9-9 situation before you even realize it. Miami getting very aggressive immediately, though. Adoopty taking down Key early. BSNI, though, taking down Favorite Liar. A little bit of a trade there on a different side of the map. But Miami already going to be able to take down or plant down the spike, and left in a 4v4 situation. A Kennesaw State player, though, is going to be on the flank there. DSNI on the Yoru, and going to be in showers. Might be able to catch Miami off guard, as things are still 3-3, and this Yoru still has an ultimate.
And we're going to be able to see a few of these trades coming out here. The KSU Brim, not known at Tower, Doomty going to be able to take him out. 3K on the board so far, taking out both smokes here. DNSI going to try and get in. Did he just use his ult right there to try and do the regardless, I'm going to be trying to get on in sight, not going to be able to quite take it. Rysick going to be able to close out the round. I think it's very interesting here, trying to use that timeout to really get a complex strategy going, but Miami University just kind of calling it out, you know, all gas, no brakes, going to throw out a few of the ults. And you really got to wonder from KSU's position, you've lost a few of these rounds in a row now. How do you counter that? Miami University classic strategy that they would use is being able to just get really aggressive and force your hand early on so that you do make mistakes. But KSU, we haven't really seen that same aggression from them. Instead, we've seen positional advantages such as having flankers behind. And possibly we'll be seeing that with the Yoru, but a lot more difficult coming out from this roster as opposed to Miami's roster.
Yeah, it seems like Kennesaw State was preparing to get aggressive on the A shower side or even just get started with the flank, but Miami is just going to be full on the B side this time. And already sending women out to plant the bomb, and it seems like Kennesaw State's going to be stuck into a retake scenario yet again with not the greatest weapons here. And, you know, if Miami doesn't have the Vipers, if they want an extra lockdown on the side, but yet again, I don't expect it to be used here just yet. Kennesaw State just stuck behind all of these brim smokes. Not really anything they can do here. They're going to try to use their little weapons they have to get some picks down, but is not going to really probably be able to get anything. This Bucky, though, is going to walk right into the tube. He will take on Sith Lord, unfortunately, for Miami, but instantly turned it in. Key, when they try to swing out, just instantly goes down as well. Miami, just somewhat breaking against all odds. Just last half. It's going to tie things up at 9-9. Kennesaw State, though, going to have weapons back online. We do see DSNI back with that operator on the board. That can be very, very scary on the side of Miami, depending on how much value they get off of this. This is a round that Kennesaw State kind of needs to win, though, because Miami is in the huge attacker's advantage. Wow, Miami timeout. That's so rare. I don't think you even saw that last time. it's so fun to see a timeout from Miami. Wow. But anyway, I think Miami wanted to use this timeout to try to make sure that they can continue this lead forward, and the Kennesaw State maybe ice them out because, you know, they're kind of, Kennesaw State's kind of expected to come out with a big play here when they have a bunch of guns back. But you know, Miami just deciding to use this timeout to sort of format the strategy into this next round, because this is a pivotal moment for both teams. Miami can maybe finally get the lead back from Kennesaw State, who has been in the lead for pretty much this entire maps thus far. But Kennesaw State as well needs to be able to secure this round to make sure that Miami doesn't snowball any further and keeps them back from retaining the lead. You know, Miami's won 8 rounds in a row by now. Kennesaw State is kind of due for a round, you might say, but of course Miami's momentum has been seeming unstoppable on this attacker side of the map, maybe showing that, you know, even though that they were looking bad earlier, this is still that their map pick, and that they were just banking on this attacker half being very successful for them. And we see several Miami players with so much money and with Favorite Liar about to max out anyways. We'll see how this timeout worked well for Miami, but also Kennesaw State might be able to use this as well to formulate their strategy a little bit.
We're going to be seeing a little bit of early util. Patho's going to be able to see the op from Yoru, hearing that he's gone or teleported away, maybe hiding behind that wall, not quite sure. From that Sky Flash, Doomty going to be taking a little bit more space with that nade, going to force the opponents or the KSU's Rays to fall back a little bit. Wall coming up, going to try and scale. Unfortunate timing with the blast pack, but not going to get punished. Doomty going to just be able to take so much of sight. We're going to see Wingman come down here. The Molly not going to be quite over him, so he's going to be able to get the bomb down. 5-5, but Miami University going to be able to take so much of A site without getting punished. Smokes are gone. Both teams without smokes, I believe, unless the KSU Brim has another one. I may be mistaken in that. But Patho's going to be able to get the first kill. Fade going to try and swing on the Fade. Not quite going to have to reload there. Going to get punished. Viper and Fade going to come out of U-Haul. We're going to see Doomty in this 2v1 situation. Both players know where he is.
Oh,
on round 19, going to go KSU.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate. Miami was looking very, very strong at the beginning there, already playing the bomb down with 5v5. You know, and already having so much an advantage, but it seems like Kennesaw State was able just to be aggressive right back at them and get all those kills down. They didn't really even need to use any ultimates to win that round. You know, unfortunately, DSNI's operator wasn't really very useful for them, which is good for Miami, but, you know, they were able just to pick it back up and give it right back to him. So that's still definitely a tip they have to keep in mind. And Miami, after all of their effort, winning 8 rounds in a row unanswered from Kennesaw State, Kennesaw State finally gets a round win after somewhat of a drought here. And, you know, it has to bring Miami's spirit down a little bit that they got so close, but still was unable to fully get this lead up onto onto Kennesaw State. But both teams with 2 ultimates online, 2 pretty good ultimates from both teams online. They're going to instantly spot the operator yet again. They're going to try to flash him out and run him down, but it seems like he's able to get out here as Miami is going back to a full B push here. And the Sky ult and this Viper ult's going to be very useful on the side of Miami. Favorite Liar already going to kill onto the Fade, meaning that there's another ultimate offline for KSU that they cannot use to try and retake this site here, which was their only retake ult they really had.
Miami University with a great execute, going to be able to lock down the site, get a free, or not free, but being to be able to get a kill on the Fade. Going to throw down the Viper ult, try and use that to secure the round. Again, as you were talking earlier, this is a very important position. This is a very important round for Miami University win. Favorite Liar going to be going down to Key. Unfortunate. KSU going to be pushing up quite a little bit, not quite. Doomty going to be able to close out the round on Key.
Yeah, and Miami using that Viper ultimate is really the best ultimate pretty much on this map. It's really, really insanely good, and it allowed Miami just to kind of close out that round pretty easily there, especially because they already had so much of the site taken, and that Kennesaw State just had to push into that ultimate to get anything done. And now they're forced back onto just measly pistols here. And Miami seems like they're going to be prepared to take this lead back from Kennesaw State. And this really means that Kennesaw State tries to have to do whatever they can to maybe force out an ultimate from Miami, maybe try to get some kills down, hurt their economy even more. And then hopefully on their 11-10 round, for them, at least hopefully, they can bring this back to a tie game. But it seems like it's Miami's story right now to take back this lead after a hard-fought couple rounds there, trying to make it seem like that last Kennesaw State round was just a fluke here, and Miami is going to show back their dominant performance. But Kennesaw State has a huge flank coming in from the B site, and having those pistols on the flank side of the map can be insanely good. DSNI with that Sheriff is going to take an early kill to a Doopty, and the Kennesaw State flank is already caught up to Miami. Rysick already blinded. Lord Fry is getting a kill onto Rysick. Now Miami is in a bit of a player deficit here, still with the guns online. Kennesaw State still has to push and defuse the spike. And Miami just seems like they have the better weaponry, are able to instantly shut down any sort of Kennesaw State's hope of pushing back in. Great shots, though, from Kennesaw State. Made things look a little bit scary for Miami there, but Miami still able to close it out and finally takes the lead back from Kennesaw State. And Kennesaw State using their second timeout instantly onto this next round. Great spot to use a timeout for them. They definitely have the guns back, and they are going to be able to try to use this round to bring this back to a tie game and bring things even closer.
And I want to say, just in kind of an insane round to have so many back-to-back timeouts. This is going to be the third one so far. First 3 this set as well. Both teams taking a very particular, like, they're investing so much into these last few rounds. Again, this is what I want to say 10-9 or
yeah, it's 11-10.
11-10.
Yeah, and Kennesaw State finally has the rifles back online and has some ultimates up, so they're gonna use this entire minute to discuss strategy for this next round, because this round is make or break for Kennesaw State. We've had a couple back-to-back rounds where it's really must win for Kennesaw State and Miami equally. If Miami wins this, they bring this to 12-10, and it'll be on Kennesaw State's sort of thrifty round. So it looks like Miami's just ready to bring this to a map 3 right after that. But here, Kennesaw State has to win this round to make sure that they can bring this to a tie game and have an even bigger chance of winning, or even bring this to an overtime scenario. Kennesaw State, 2 ultimates online. That Viper ultimate, so strong, can be used to completely shut down any area of the map that they want to. So I expect that ult to be coming out this round, as well as Key's ult, and 2 ults that are just 2 ult orbs away. Although on the side of Miami, that Brimstone ult can really shut down an area. That Gecko ult can be insanely good on post plant, and a Doomty can use his Raise ult at any time to try to get a free pick there. But Mist Hollow immediately taking out the Doomty on the side of A site, making sure that ultimate's not able to be used at all. And Miami's already down 2 players. It seems like Kennesaw State's initial strategy in that last timeout might have worked out for them. And Kennesaw State still has their most influential ult online to be able to use.
And so I just want to bring out how important these ults online are going to be. We're going to be able to see it with the Raze ult and the Viper ult from KSU. Not quite coming out just yet, but just having it there is such a scary thing, and just needing to be able to strategize around it. Miami University going to be able to push up on site. A little bit of a player disadvantage, but nothing they can't come back from. Sith Lord going to be able to take out the Yoru. Another kill. It's going to be 2v2. Not quite. He's going to be able to secure the last 2 kills. And it's such a scary position for you, especially as Sith Lord, where, you know, 1v2, what are you going to be able to do about that? You have Brim ult online. If you're able to just secure one of these kills, your post plan is going to be so impressive. It's just going to be so dangerous as an opponent to try and contest that. You got to be kidding me.
A back-to-back-to-back timeouts essentially for Miami. But yes, again, this is a good spot for Miami to use a timeout because this is again a must-win scenario for both teams. 11-11 might be the most important scoreline for any team in any Valorant match ever. Whichever team wins is only going to be one win away from winning the round, and at least guaranteeing an overtime for them to have a second chance, even if they do lose the next round. And Kennesaw State is still looking a little bit rough in economy, even though they did win that last one. They're still going to have full rifles, but not able to be full shields. Miami still, of course, has so much money online. But thankfully, on the side of Kennesaw State, though, they do have that Viper Ultimate online, which can help them out a lot. But Miami did end up using this timeout, which means they do have a plan that they want to enact going to this next round, which is going to be very important for them to enact. And I do think that Miami is going to be looking to be in a little bit of the advantage state going into the beginning of this round, especially with this plan they have to enact. So, Miami's looking really, really good. This half in general, we're starting with really close to the Viper, personal space. Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, Kennesaw State, like you saw, full rifles, but only a couple of them on those heavy shields. 2 ultimates online from both teams, but that Viper ult on the side of Kennesaw State is going to be so important. It's going to be a pivotal moment in this round when or if that ult gets played.
And I'm kind of curious seeing that Miami's game plan here, wondering if they might want to get a bit aggressive. We've seen in the past, Doomty going to be able to use his ult to take space, but that's not quite what's going to happen here. Fate going to be able to use some util, pair it with the early Brim ult, which I'm very surprised to see, to get a player lead, taking out the Viper. Viper, again, as we've been talking, such a pivotal character, especially on this map, being able to throw up temporary smokes, create lurks in positions that your opponent just shouldn't, they wouldn't be able to expect consistently. And then also just going to be able to put them on one smoke and put them at a player advantage. Just simply put, having 5 players is better than 4.
Yeah, Miami's already disadvantaged. 3 players of theirs on garden side. We do see a slow rotate from Miami's Brimstone onto the short side. Might be trying to get some info from A short. We're trying to see if anyone's trying to flank them, but not really going to see anything. Kennesaw State is still pretty split up, like they were at the beginning of the round. 3 on B, 2 on A. They're kind of ready for anything here. Miami has 2 ultimates online that can help them push onto this B site, excuse me, if they do want to. They're going to take some shots here, but it seems like they might be going for a teleport play after Sith Lord has come. That A seems a little bit safer than B. Sith Lord preparing those 3 Brim smokes. Are just placing 2 for now, going to help Miami push onto the side, but Kennesaw State instantly knows where they're going. Doomty going to be playing that Raze ult, is going to try to push through the smoke, try to get an early kill. Does end up getting one through the smoke, which is huge for them. Miami still has 10 seconds left, need to plant the bomb. Wingman going to start planting the bomb. Is it going to be able to go through? Yes! That is great for Miami, even though they're in a bit of a deficit. That Brim ult is going to be going out, trying to force out Kennesaw State from the back of the site, but Miami still down 2 players to Kennesaw State with 1 player on low health. It's just going to be Sith Lord in the back of the site, getting down 1, but no, getting taken down, unfortunately. Kennesaw State with 3 players left alive won that round, bringing things up to a 12-11 victory. Miami has fought so hard, and Kennesaw State's about to say it was a hard fight, but we're still going to close this out anyway. And this game has been such an emotional roller coaster for both teams here. Wow, what a map!
And we see this huge lead from KSU going to be at the very beginning of the map, but Miami just going to be able to get so many rounds in a row. And Kennesaw just kind of being able to retaliate, be able to acknowledge, hey, you were able to get a large streak of wins, but these timeouts are really in our favor. We're going to be able to strategize, be able to respond accordingly, and what the best thing Miami's going to be able to do is just try and predict what kind of response they have, rather than just being able to understand what's already been going down. But we're going to be seeing an early Sky Bird. Unfortunately, blinding Favorite Liar still going to be able to get it. Miami going to be able to take 3 picks. KSU going to be down 2-4. Favorite Liar going to be able to get another pick through the Brim smoke. This is such a strong position for Miami to be in. I am afraid that we're more than likely going to be able to see this overtime come out. Some Sky util going to be checking the wall, checking the back of the site, and then finishing it out, being able to pick the Yoru when he tries to get that timing. Switching sides, and from here on out, every single player is going to be able to buy as much as they want, except if they buy an op, which we had seen in the past. KSU going to be a bit more favored, or be a bit more inclined to buy the op. Might be a strategy we see whenever they go on defense, but at the moment they're going to be on attack, playing a bit more A side. We're not going to see a lot of splitting. We're going to see a little bit of Brim going to Hookah, try and get that information, see how many defenders are there.
Yeah, and Miami, thankfully, able to win that last round pretty handily. Great attack, bring things to 12-12 into overtime. Miami's dreams aren't dead yet, but they do need to win on defense, which they showed in the past. They only did one time here, or I guess 3 times in a row. And same thing with Kennesaw State. They're only able to win 3 rounds on this defender side. So I think it's going to be really important which team plays this defender half better, because both teams have shown that they're extremely dominant when they're on their attacker halves. So we're going to see if Kennesaw State maybe has lost some momentum on their attacker half here. It'd be insanely great if Miami was able to win this round right here and there, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a pretty long overtime, as both teams are extremely dominant on these attacker halves. But a great thing from a Doom team, getting an early pick onto Quacky, making sure that Kennesaw State is already down a player deficit before they get this push even started. But DSNI getting a little bit of a late trade right back, and we're back to a 4-4 scenario with some early utility being thrown down from both teams. KSU, though, not really able to get a push started on the site yet, but everything's going down on A. And one player on Miami all over towards P. A Kennesaw State player are going to go towards that side as well. It's gonna seem like it's just gonna come down to whether Kennesaw State decides to stay with the site or leaves. But Key with the spike is gonna decide to leave here, which might make things a little bit harder for Miami to react to, because we only see one player from Miami on the side of B, and it's going to be harder for them to defend against 3 players versus a straight 4-on-4 battle like we're just seeing.
Favorite Liar going to be a very good defender, though, as we've seen in the past, going to be able to use their smokes with high efficiency, and just going to be able to prevent any of the enemies from coming in. We're going to see Yoru ult coming out just to get a bit of that information. Viper going to throw out their molly to try and prevent site from being taken, but
10 seconds
not going to be able to hold it quite yet. All of KSU's, or most of KSU's player, going to be on very low damage, meaning that one body shot, one leg shot is going to be able to take them out, whereas they may need to aim for the head against Miami. Going to get a few of these headshots, 4 in a row!
Oh no, the 4K from DSNI. Unfortunately, all of Miami just lining up into the crosshairs of KSU. And I thought it was looking up for Miami there at a second. If they won that defender half, this could have been a very, very quick overtime. They just won things right here. But no, Kennesaw State showing that they're still pretty good on this offensive side, and how offensive sided this map ends up being. And Miami is down in the deficit. They need to win this round, or it's game over for them. Their entire comeback was for nothing. Everything's riding on this moment right here. We'll see if Miami's able to continue their attacker side prowess that we just saw a couple rounds earlier, and bring this back to a double overtime. But we'll see how Kennesaw State decides to react. DSNI getting early aggression here onto Showers, able to flick away that flashing and early kill into a Doomty. Really unfortunate, already falling down there. Halting Miami's pressure pretty much instantly there. Miss getting on the Sith Lord, but Favorite Liar thankfully able to get the trade. So they're only down to 1 player, but still things are gonna be a little bit rough there for Miami. But that bomb is going down thanks to Wingman. Gonna bring the ball into KSU's court here. Gonna make sure that they have to come to Miami now. Miami able to hold the backside of the map. Kennesaw State regrouping into U-Haul. Seems like they're gonna get ready for a coordinated repush onto the site.
Going to be able to take so much space, all grouped up together. All kind of hanging around U-Haul, though. It's a very interesting position. Sky knows where they're at, but not quite.
No.
That is going to be 12-14 KSU.
Wow, that's so heartbreaking. Miami brought it back into their lead. It was 11-10 at one point, and then Kennesaw State was able just to bring things back up after some timeouts and bring things back in their favor. 14-12. I really thought we were going to go to double overtime there, make things a little spice things up a little bit. Miami was really looking good towards the end of that half, showing complete dominance after KSU initially showed complete dominance on the first half. Both teams doing extremely well in their attacker halves, but Kennesaw State with that early pick might have just sealed the deal there at the end. Really unfortunate, but great, like we said earlier, great stuff from Favorite Liar, showing insane value on that Viper character, holding down entire sites by themselves sometimes. But wow, just even though that was not the intended scenario for Miami, that was still a great watch and great effort from Miami. Seeing such an insane comeback is so fun to watch and to commentate over as well, even though it was ended up in an unfortunate loss.
And I just want to bring up just really quickly how impressive it was. It's such a mental deficit you had to be at after losing the previous game 6-12, and then bringing that game back from that 9-3 deficit. Again, as you were saying earlier, that 10-11 point, but KSU just going to be able to get the next few rounds in a row and really being able to understand, being able to stay calm, being able to understand what the game plan is, and coming into it performing as effectively as possible. It's just so important, especially for those later rounds, just trying to be able to understand, this is what I need to do, this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and Kennesaw State really showed that they had great potential in those 1v1 pure aim duels and some pretty decent strategy as we saw on each map's attacker side. They did some pretty good strategy that Miami wasn't able to end up countering, unfortunately. And a little bit of an upset here. The third seed ended up upsetting the two seed of us, Miami. And I'd like to think that Miami's Valorant team is a bit better than this, but maybe on a different day, things of a different story might have been a 2-0 for Miami instead. But even if that might be the case, here today, Kennesaw State did take the victory over Miami in the 2-0 fashion. So congrats to them. And really unfortunate loss for Miami, like we've been saying. Hopefully that the team can take this as sort of a learning opportunity. And try to bring this forward as they further on this qualifier, and maybe we'll get the revenge against Kennesaw State either later on into the group stage of this qualifier or even at the land itself. But yeah, great stuff to watch here from Miami. Do you have any other final thoughts about this match today?
I think you just about summarized it. I think it's very interesting composition wise how Miami was really able to change up what they were doing with the swap from off of Vice and onto a double controller and off of I'm going crazy. I'm blanking on the characters off of Sova and into the sky. Um, it's a scary thing to try and be able to call out which characters to be able to play because that decision is permanent. Unlike newer hero shooters like Marvel Rivals or Overwatch 2, you can't be swapping around characters. You can't be counter picking. And so if you get that guess wrong at the very start of the game, you're in a permanent disadvantage. And so I think that Miami's team lead of Doomty just being able to call, hey, we're going to make these two changes. This is how it's going to play out in the round. I think is so, so, so crucial and such a great call from Miami University.
Yes, the comp that they ended up playing on that map was pretty standard for Miami and from it seems like esports teams in general, as that double controller Brim Viper seems pretty common there, as Kennesaw State ran it as well. But unfortunately, Kennesaw State was able to run it a little bit more successfully than Miami. But still great effort from Miami University today. They are going to continue in this Queen City Clash qualifier, and they are heading out to Columbus for the Ohio Scholastic LAN. They're heading out with our Rocket League team tomorrow. They're going to be playing in that as well, and they might even be playing in this qualifier even more on Sunday. So a lot of Valorant for them coming up. So they don't really get too much of a break to VOD review this and to even scrim here. They're just going to keep playing this game, and I hope that they don't take this loss too harsh when they go into the land this weekend, and they can still perform their best there as well. But we are signing off here for now. After this round, thank you for tuning in here. I have been Trae Linkling Moss.
And I have been Spencer Palpa McCrae.
Thank you so much for watching Miami Valorant. We'll be back with more Valorant in the future. And as well, next semester will be its typical run times. Will be Tuesday at 8 p.m. next semester. But for now, we are signing off with Miami Valorant. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good night.